all right. What's happening, people? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is your boy, SportsRap CEO, in the building once again. And another great episode coming at you. I'm going to talk some Sixers, a little bit of Sixers mixed in here. I'm going to talk some NFL free agency. We are also going to talk sports. And whatever comes to mind. Y'all know where I'm at, okay? Heat100radio.com. You can get me there, or you can get on my IG at SportsRap CEO on Instagram. And then, I'll tell y'all where everything goes and all that other jazz. So before we get really started, I want to thanks everybody for the continued support. As always, I definitely appreciate you all, and I'm glad that you are on this journey with me, because without you, there is no me. All right, so here we go. Yesterday, Sunday in the NBA, Nuggets and the Thunder. The Nuggets fall 127-103. The Suns get by the Mavs 125-116. The Grizzlies get by the Pelicans 107-104. Sixers get a win, y'all. Sixers beat the Jazz in South Philly 126-122. The Cavs get by the Bucks 112-100. I think I want to talk a little bit about the Cavs because they seem to be for real. Okay, Spurs and the T-Wolves. The T-Wolves whooped them 141-124. The Pistons and the Blazers. Pistons hold on 119-112. The Kings and the Clippers in a tight one. The Clippers 111-110. In the NHL, the Devils beat the Flyers 3-1. The Kraken fall to the Capitals 4-2. The Penguins get by the Wild 3-1. The Jets fall to the Hurricanes 4-2. Blue Jackets beat up on the Rangers 7-3. In the tight one, the Kings and the Golden Knights. The Kings hold on to take that 6-5. The Islanders and the Ducks hold on 4-1. And in the final game last night, the Stars and the Canucks. Stars hold on 4-1. NCAA men's basketball, number 17, Michigan at number 8, Michigan State. Michigan State holds on 79-62. In the women's basketball side, NCAA top 25. So y'all know we're getting close. Real close. It's already March, but y'all know what's coming. I'm itching. I can't wait for it. So, next week, next Monday, will be our March Madness preview. So make sure y'all tune in on Sunday and take your notes, and we can compare notes next Monday. All right. So these are all pretty much conference, either tournaments or championships. In the Big East, number 5. And these rankings for the women, y'all, are not their overall top 25 ranking. These, because we're getting close to the tournament, these are their tournament seeding rankings. All right. So Villanova at number 5, at number 1, UConn in the Big East. UConn holds on 82-54. In the SEC championship, this was the championship game. Number 1, South Carolina hosting number 2, Texas. South Carolina holds on 64-45. I'm sorry. In the ACC, number 3, Duke at number 1, NC State. Duke gets by them 76-62. In the Summit Conference, number 1, South Dakota State hosting number 2, Oral Roberts. South Dakota State holds on 84-68. In the Big Ten, really good game. I watched pretty much the majority of this game. If you didn't see this game, you should go back and check it out. UCLA, number 2, at USC for the Big Ten Women's Championship. UCLA comes back with an amazing second half. Takes that game 72-67. So I'm gonna give these other 2 scores first. In the Big 12, number 2, Baylor at number 1, TCU. TCU holds on 64-59. And another game in the Big East, Seton Hall, number 3 seed, and Creighton, the number 2 seed. Creighton holds on 73-44. So getting back to this UCLA USC game. All right. If you know me and y'all know the show, you know I've had a gentleman on the show several times. Going back as far as the Ben Simmons draft. Prior to that, and a few times in between there, he popped up on us and had some stuff. We had some events that we've been to support him. But I have to give a shout out to my guy, James Clark. All right, Instagram, if you want to check him out, he's at ClarkJ22. Good friend, basketball coach, assistant basketball coach for that UCLA women's basketball team. They just won, like I said, they just won that Big Ten championship yesterday. So congratulations to him and those young ladies who played an amazing second half. You can tell that they were well coached. You can tell that they had the fight in them, the no quit mentality, and they just went out there and did what they needed to do to win that game. I was also impressed, very much impressed with the defense that they played against Juju in that second half. She had about 19 or 20 points in the first half. She had a real quiet, really quiet second half for her, if you know what I mean. If you know what I'm talking about with Juju, she had a real quiet second half. And a lot of that was due to the very well coached and the very tough and somewhat shocking defense that was played by UCLA in that second half. All right, so that's that for scores and updates and all that good jazz. So we know where we are. You've been hearing stuff all day. Free agency, NFL, we're in March. We know the draft is coming up next month, April. But we have some free agency that has been going on. I'm not following every single move because a lot of the moves are insignificant. I tried to stick with what the Eagles players were doing that were free agents if they have done anything so far. And then I tried to stick with some of the big names that were kind of talked about as being free agents. So going through my list, first let me start with some news and updates. And this is mostly the stuff that I got, the NFL draft. And I'm going to talk a little bit of NBA draft and some Sixers in a little bit. But here we go. All right, the Eagles released Darius Slay and James Bradbury. We know that a report today, I saw that Darius Slay is going to sign with, he's going to sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. The Eagles did, however, re-sign Zach Bond to a 3-year, $51 million contract. Also, prior to that, they extended Saquon Barkley and a big deal for him. DK Metcalf requested a trade, and he is going to, I think, the Steelers. I believe that's where he's going. Yeah, I think DK Metcalf is going to the Steelers, so teaming up with Darius Slay over there up in Pittsburgh. The Browns restructured the Deshaun Watson deal. I don't know if this was their play to re-sign Myles Garrett, which they did with an enormous contract, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. Just thinking about that, the only thing I could say right offhand when people asked me about that was the simple fact that I felt like they gave him an offer he couldn't refuse. Or unless all of his chatter that he was giving out prior to him re-signing when he initially, and at the end of the season, he was initially being asked on media presences about free agency. You know, people had the rumors, the very, very heavy rumors of him coming here to Philadelphia. People would ask him about that. He was saying, "Oh, like it would nice to be nice to win a championship," yada yada yada. So again, we now see that he re-signed with the Browns on an extension. So was that a ploy? Was that his play to actually get money from from Cleveland? But again, for me, my first initial instinct and my first reaction was they had to give him an offer that he couldn't refuse for him to stay there. If you were talking about wanting to win and all of that jazz. And if that's the case, some players, are cool with the money. Some players really, really sincerely want to go down and win a championship at some point. But a lot of times, more times than not, when you get that bag of money dangled in front of you, sometimes your view gets skewed and you get tunnel vision and all you see is the money. But I don't know. I'm not saying that this is Myles Garrett's instance. I'm not saying that this is his case. This is just my perception of how I see things have gone over the past in sports and all this other stuff. All right. The Bengals are letting star defensive end Trey Hendrickson seek a trade. 49ers are set to release Javon Hargrave, and I think they've already done that right now. So as we speak, so it's already been done. We know about the Kyrie Irving injury. This is just mixed in here. The Kyrie Irving injury, he's out for the season. Zach Ertz and Bobby Wagner are both recent returning to the Commanders. There are reports that quarterback Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills, and they reached an agreement on a 6-year, $330 million deal. Devontae Adams signs a 2-year deal with the Rams. Milton Williams of the Eagles is going to the Patriots instead of early reports saying he was going to the Panthers. Isaiah Rodgers is going to be going to the Vikings, and Javon Kinlaw to the Commanders as well, and Justin Fields to the Jets. So with the re-signings of Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz, and then bringing in Javon Kinlaw to the Commanders, one would think that the Commanders are loading up to try and catch up with the Eagles. And I'm sure that in a lot of ways they feel like they're not that far behind because they got to the NFC Championship and they lost to the Eagles ultimately. But they got there with what they have now, and they feel like these couple pieces. So I'm pretty sure that this is in that mixing pot. All right, this is in that potluck supper that they building up down there, and they're trying to build something up down there. And I mean, who would not? And it seems like they are the only division opponents who are making it seem like they're serious to do something to try and catch up or keep up pace with the Eagles. We know Dallas didn't really do anything. The coach that they hired was kind of a shock, even though it was in-house. It was still kind of a shock to everyone. The Giants are just a mess right now. So you're looking at the NFC East, and you're basically looking at the Eagles and the Commanders. And the Commanders right now, in my opinion, are doing everything they can, like I said, to either keep pace, either catch up or keep pace with Philadelphia Eagles. All right. So again, we talked about the players that the Eagles are probably going to lose. And we knew this was coming. It happens every time, especially when you have seasons like the Eagles have had. We've been through this before. When we went to the Super Bowl and won the last time we won, when we beat the Patriots, same thing happened. We lost a lot of players in free agency. We lost both of our coordinators. All right, so it happens every year. It happens all the time. So this year we lost some players. All right, but the players that we lost, and the players that were released, kind of gave us a little bit of wiggle room in salary cap, so we can go after some free agents. There are some names that are off the board right now, like the Myles Garrett, so we definitely know that's off the board. But as I went through the NFL free agent list, and I went through the top 30, and then I added a few more in as extras. And a lot of the names are like mixed in. There's not a whole bunch of names that like jump out like, oh yeah, this is whoa. So like I said, we got T. Higgins on here. Sam Darnold, I think, is going off. Scott, where I just saw where he was going to sign, but I forgot. When I find it, I'll either post it later or give it to you before I close out. Like I said, these names, Chris Godwin for the Bucks. So there are names on here, and these are names I'm saying in the top 30. Once I got out of that top 30, all right, dropping right down to 31 is Dre Greenlaw of the 49ers. All right, at 35, Bobby Wagner, who's now off the table. Another 49er at 38, Tolano Hufanga, the safety. At 41, Amari Cooper. 43, Calais Campbell. 44, DeMarcus Lawrence. 45, Chase Young. And then the last one I picked was Asante Samuel Jr. at 46. There has been talk and rumors of the Eagles possibly having some interest in Miles Mack from San Diego or the LA Chargers. But I don't know what is really going to happen there with that. I don't know what I did with my Eagles mock drafts, so I don't have those mock drafts there. And like I said, we'll talk more about the Eagles mock draft as we get to it. But I also still think that the Eagles are in pretty decent shape. A lot of people will probably argue and say, well, Williams and Javon Hargrave. All right, but we still so that means we got to get an edge. Okay, we definitely have to get an edge, and we have draft capital, and we have draft picks where we can get an edge. All right, but I think the Eagles were prepared for this going into today, when, like they say, legal tampering can begin. So they were looking forward. I'm not saying looking forward. I think they were prepared going into this, knowing what their options were as far as the draft and what capital they have and what kind of cap space they created with some of the moves that they made already. There was a report out that they have not spoken, have not struck the deal with an extension or re-signing for Mekhi Becton. So there are going to be some teams that will talk to him and talk to his people. But I do honestly feel like the story that Mekhi Becton has right now fits with Philadelphia and fits with this team right now. And I think he would be willing to come back. And again, I feel like this is one of those situations as far as when we talk about free agency with the money thing and the season that he had when he was at one point written off basically from the NFL, given a chance, given another chance, given the final chance here with the Eagles and had major success. So I think he's very, very grateful and thankful for that. So if the offer is right, I feel like he would not mind returning. But I also feel like, again, and I'm going to say it, if he gets an offer that he can't refuse, why not? For me, that's kind of the same. I put that in the same category I do, like I talked about last week when we talked about the coaching thing, and I talked about when somebody I know said that Kellen Moore going to the Saints, leaving the Eagles, was like, how you go from this to a bad situation. And I feel like, again, it's that same situation like I said then. And in that situation, I said, and at that level, when you get recognized and get the opportunity to be a head coach, for me, I feel like you have to take it. Whether you're successful or not, I feel like you have to take it because you never know if or when that opportunity may come again. It may not. The same way I feel like now with the money thing where I just said if they give him an offer he can't refuse as far as the money. We all know professional athletes is life-changing money in general. But the way contracts are now, you really are hitting on the meaning of life-changing. All right. So again, like I said, if he gets an offer he can't refuse, I understand it. You know what I mean? This is like generational wealth and being able to take care of your family for eons for playing football. So I'm hoping that Howie can do something and bring Mekhi back. If not, we have some people in the back behind him, and we have one of, if not the best offensive line coach in the league. So I'm sure we can get somebody to fill in if we end up losing Mekhi back. But again, I think that we are good. I think we're still good. Like I said, we bring back Zach Bourne. Hopefully, we can get a full, healthy season from the Kobe Dean, and I think we're good there. Also, I don't know the situation. It might be a rookie contract, or it might be, I didn't hear anything about free agency, but he might still be under contract. Jalen's Hunt, pretty good. And then we got Nolan Smith, all right? So we've got some pieces that we can kind of put in play. But of course, you always look to put something else there so that when these guys get to the point of maybe becoming free agents or something happens, you got backups. All right. So again, I think the Eagles are in a good place. All right. I put trust in Howie. I've done seen his work several times, and I'm not nervous. I'm not shaky. I am, I would say, as a fan, a little disappointed, but also as a fan and also as your host here today and me doing the podcast, I understand the business side. So I understand this happens. It's not like it only happens. It happens to every team in the league in any major sport that gets successful and wins. Things start to come up. People want to poach pieces from you to try to get some of your mojo to help their franchise get better or to get where you were or where you are. So it happens, and I understand that. All right? So again, I put faith in Howie. I put trust in Howie because, again, we've seen his work. I've seen his work. You all have seen his work. You all have heard his work. And just pay attention. If not, just look at me. Listen to me. Follow me like you always do. And I'll keep you up to date on what things will happen within the next couple of days. All right. Like I said, today started what they call illegal or the legal tampering, as they like to say, where teams can structure deals, announce deals, and put deals in place. They can't put pen to paper until Wednesday, the 12th. And all of the stuff that's going on, I've seen crazy good things in the past. So there's possibilities that some things that are set in place, not set, but are in place today, could possibly change come Wednesday. I mean, it's only Monday. So we got a couple days in between there. So some things could change, some things could stay the same, but we'll never know. You might see some big moves, some more big moves, you may not. But you got me. So don't worry. If something really, really big happens, I'll get it. And I always share it with my peoples. I always share it with y'all. If I don't share it with y'all, then who can I share it with? I have to support my folks. All right. So let's talk Sixers for a little bit. We also know NBA draft is coming. So we're getting close. All right. March Madness is coming up. And this is like the time where anybody that's projected in the draft is really, really going to be put under the scrutiny, under the microscope, how they play in this NCAA tournament. It can move people up on the draft board. It can move people down. It can move people out of the draft board. Off the draft board, rather. But let's talk Sixers for right now. All right, we're on the second end of a back-to-back tonight against the Hawks. We already know Embiid is out indefinitely. Paul George is also out. I just saw a report before I came on that Maxey is also out due to that back sprain. I feel like we're in the time, and I don't like to say tank, because I just don't think that's proper. Hey, good afternoon, Coach Stan, Philly All-American game. Make sure y'all check him out. Make sure y'all check out the Philly All-American game. If y'all don't know anything about it, scroll through my page at SportsRap CEO on Instagram, and you will find all the information you need. If not, just hit my DM and let me know you want the information, because that's something that you want to get to. All right, so make sure y'all check him out, my guy. Anyway, I feel like I don't like the word tank, especially at that level, because I feel like it's no real room for it. I don't know how it came up. We talk about it all the time, but I don't like. Yes, sir. Blessings right back to you, Stan. No problem, homie. You know I got you. I don't like the tanking because it feels like you just stealing money, in a sense, for me. Because you're getting paid to play. And now you want to jostle and you say you want to lose games to move up in the rank, to move up and get a higher lottery pick. Sixers are in a lottery pick. Right? They're probably going to be around 6 or 7 somewhere anyway. So all the talk about Cooper Flag, you can kind of forget that. You can kind of dead that. Unless a minor miracle happens. Matter of fact, a major miracle happens. And some trades or something happens in the Sixers mouth there. But it's probably more than likely not going to happen. All right, so you got to think elsewhere. All right. So I think the Sixers are now at a point and in a time where I like to say our evaluation. We know who our 3 stars are. Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. Again, I said a couple weeks ago, I feel like they should be focusing their interest in building around Tyrese Maxey. And then incorporating Joel and Paul where they fit in. But as far as extras, I think you need to start building around Tyrese Maxey. You brought Drummond in to be the backup. I don't know how many years his signed for. He might be here next year, already signed already. But you got to play him. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Nick Nurse in a second, but you got to play him if he's going to be the backup. Because after that, you really have nothing. Gershon has played well for you up until now that we know Joel is out. So now he's playing a lot more small 5. He played a little bit of it in the mix in his little run. And this is what got him the notoriety that he has around the league. But now it's been muzzled because he has to play a lot more of that small ball 5. So in that case, and for me, and if you know basketball, him being a small ball 5, and in the East where in the bigs, where in the NBA where bigs are not necessarily bigs, but being a smaller big, it takes away from your offense because of what you have to do on defense. I like, again, I said this last year, I like what I see in Kelly Oubre. Definitely like the signing of Lonnie Walker for 2 years, so that means he'll get a shot next year in this mix. I like that. I don't know what's left on Quentin Grimes' contract. I have to look into that for you all. But I like that addition as well. The Jared Butler addition. Signed him to a regular NBA contract. I think it's just for the end of this season. But I think he should get a look in training camp. You bring back a healthy Jared McCain. Ricky Council has to, in my opinion, grow a little bit more. In my opinion, a lot of times he looks a little out of control and a little erratic. Okay. Hopefully, Joel Embiid is seeking some surgery, having that surgery done soon, or seeking some whatever he wants to do to get his knee right. Hopefully, we can start training camp with a healthy, fully healthy Paul George and a fully healthy Tyrese Maxey. And like I said, we bring in Jared McCain. And again, I know where the Sixers are. The money thing has handicapped us for a lot of years. And I think it's still going to somewhat handicap us this year, going into the summer and the free agency. So it's going to be interesting to see how these next 18, 17 games play out for the Sixers. Again, like I said, I can't really get behind the quote-unquote tanking because I feel like you guys are getting paid to play the game. This is your job. So it's like, if that's the case, then why play the rest of the games if you just want to go out there and plan on losing them? Give no effort or anything and just lose the games, then why play them? Just chalk them up as losses and just go home or whatever for the rest of the season. But you can't do that. So again, I think for the players that are on this team, the grit that a lot of them show, I think this is them making their mark. And again, like I said, this is evaluation time, not only for Sixers organization where you are part of now, but for the entire NBA. Because the Sixers have a lot of G League, a lot of 10-day contracts, a lot of 1 years and all of the young guys. But some things are going to have to get better. A lot of things are going to have to get better. I said I was going to talk Nick Nurse, so let's go there. I don't know how many people have been a coach at any level. But I need you to understand, and I'm not taking this back. I'm not saying that he's completely out of the forest, out of the water. I'm not saying that. Because I did have questions about his rotations early when he had some bodies that he could play. All right, but here's the thing that I want people to understand that have not been coaches. When you get an overhaul of a roster the way that he got this year, and then when you get hit with these injuries, okay, so this happens, and then now as a coach, you don't know who you have on your roster basically on a day-to-day basis. You have somebody here today that could change tomorrow because of what you went through with your injuries and replacing people. It is tough to maintain prestige or winning records. And I'm not saying it can't be done. All I'm saying is it's tough. And with all the talk, and I know Philly fans are who they are. The instant with the fire Nick Sirianni and now fire Nick Nurse and this and that. All I'm saying is, if you have not been a coach, you have to understand or try to understand his fight. Okay? And again, I'm not saying that he's out of the water, but I'm saying I need you to understand his fight. And maybe you can see things a little bit differently. I'm not going to say clearer. I'm just going to say a little differently. Okay? Because I've been a coach, and I know how that goes. All right? I got my guy on here, Philly All-American game, Coach Stan. He knows as well. You could start here today. This season is here. You just where you at. You in the season. Bang. And, let's go high school, college, for example. Okay? You could start your season here. You got, say, 3-4 seniors in your starting lineup. And most of your bench are freshmen, sophomores. They'll be coming in juniors, but haven't had as much time to play. Haven't had as much experience playing. So in essence, as a coach, you're basically starting over. And some people might say, well, these guys have been there. They was at practice. Practice and playing is two different things. And again, if you have never been a coach, it will be difficult for you to understand that. I'm not going to say you can't, you won't. I said it's going to be difficult for you to understand that. But again, if you had that level, and you lose a good portion of that, things are going to be tougher that following season. All right. And then, like I said, you just lose players, and then say you do have the players, but then you get hit with brash injuries, significant injuries. And then it's like now you're almost at your wit's end where, like I said, you don't know who's going to be here today or tomorrow. Hence the reason the Sixers have had, I think, almost 40 starting lineups this entire season. Unheard of. Unheard of. Almost 40. It might be 39. It might even be 40. But it's at least 38 or 39 different starting lineups because of the change and the shakeups and the messy roster that was here this year. And I say messy because of the way it played out. The Joel Embiid, him trying to play, then him finally coming to the realization that he can't do it. The on and off nagging injuries of Paul George. And then all of a sudden, because Maxey was the only one there, it took a matter of time. But he got banged up a little bit, and now he's hurt. So now they're into this whole thing of tanking and all of that. So, but again, like I said, I don't really like saying that word tanking. But anyway. So, it's going to be a rough 17, 18 games that are left. At one point, not too long ago, I felt like I would have liked to see them just give the effort for Nick Nurse and for themselves and somehow sneak into the play-in tournament. But as I kept thinking about it, I kept pondering it, and I realized the situation and how it would play out. If they did go in, they would definitely be in that bottom half. So at worst, if they did do something to make some noise again in that play-in tournament, they would go in as 8. You're playing Boston or Cleveland. More likely, it's like Cleveland right now in the first round. What's the point? You're not beating. With the roster that you had right now, you're not beating either one of them. You have a better fighting chance with your healthy roster and your healthy 3 stars. But right now, you don't have any of your 3 stars. So it's no chance that you're beating either one of those teams in a playoff series. So, we will see what happens with the Sixers. We will see what happens with Philadelphia Eagles. And just for the Sixers back to the Sixers real quick, I feel like if anything happens as far as non-player wise, I think it might be something in the front office, some shakeup in the front office. I feel like you have to give Nick Nurse another shot with a hopefully healthy roster to try this thing again, and get some pieces from what you've seen. Like I said, you brought in Lonnie Walker, good piece. Hopefully Jared McCain can come back healthy. Hopefully you can hold on to Quentin Grimes, because in my opinion, you can start Quentin Grimes and Maxey in the backcourt. That's your starting 1 and 2 for me. You got Paul George and healthy Joel Embiid if he can get healthy. So now you have to find 4. And I think that 4 could be Yabu. But again, you got Drummond, and you either have to play the young kid, Adam Bona, and get him right, or you got to bring somebody in that you can play at that 5 behind Drummond and not have to use Yabu at that small ball 5, where you can get the max out of him like you got early in the season throughout the entire season. That's all I'm saying. Call me crazy. Call me whatever you like. But I can only call and I can only tell you what I see. I can only give you my interpretation of what I see. And this is me coming from, speaking of the situation, this is me coming from the 3 hats that I have worn. The player, the coach, and the referee. All right, so I can cover all 3 bits. So there's that triangle. We always talk about basketball as coaches. We talk about having that triangle, right? We talked about the great Lakers teams with Phil Jackson and the great Bulls teams. That triangle in 2, right? I got that triangle. I got all 3 hats there. So I'm pretty good at what I think about and what I tell you. And like I said, I always give it to you in my interpretation, how I feel about it. I read a lot of stuff. I listen to a lot of stuff. And then I change it. I take that thought and then I say, oh, that might be right. And anytime I add some people's stuff in, I always tell you I got this from so-and-so or I got this from here. But for the most part, I'm breaking stuff down and I'm giving it to you and in my own verbiage, in my own lingo, in a way that you can understand and relate to me and what I talk about. Like I said, I always want you to understand. You can be a fan. Yes, definitely be a fan. But you also, if you want to be a true fan, in my opinion, you need to be able to understand the business side of things. Because things are going to happen with teams like we just talked about the Eagles and how they're losing players to free agency. It's going to happen. Especially when you get to that level where you're winning and then you go and win a Super Bowl. Things are going to happen. Players are going to move. Other than in the NBA, the way that free agency goes, which I think is a mess. But in other sports, things are going to happen as well. And then also in that, things are going to happen. So you got to be able to understand why certain things happen. I remember a little while back when Brett Brown was still the coach, and there was a player here, Tony Allen, and we talked about the young kid that plays for Isaiah Joe, plays for the Thunder now, and there was a couple other players that the Sixers ended up trading away at a certain point. And people were like, well, why did they do this and why did they do that and whatever? Well, the thing was, you had to understand the business side. They were trying to free up money because they knew at some point moving forward they were going to have to bring in another star to go along with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. They didn't know what they had at the time in Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey wasn't even here yet, so they didn't even know, right? But those trades were made as business decisions because if they didn't make those trades, the Sixers would have been locked into money to players that were not playing. So they made a business decision. If we're not going to play them, why should we keep paying them? Let's move them, get some assets, and let them go somewhere and play. That's what they did. And Isaiah Joe took advantage of it, which he was supposed to do as a player. You're supposed to take advantage of it. You get moved and you get to play. You get the opportunity to play, you better go play. That's all I'm saying. He got the opportunity, he took it, and he ran with it. And now he's playing for the best team in the Western Conference. Arguably the best team in the league right now. Okay? So again, I like to bring you all of the information, as much information as possible. And I like you to understand what's going on with your team, your favorite teams, and your favorite sport. So if you don't understand, then you just a fan running around in the lost. You know, I feel like you need to know what's going on with your team. If you are a true fan, I feel like you need to know what's going on. And you need to know why some things happen the way that they happen. Why some moves are made and you may be scratching your head or you may be looking like, why did they do that? Because in everything that the Sixers have done, and some of them can arguably be egregious, I don't think we've gotten to that point where their Dallas Mavericks are right now in that trade for Anthony Davis. And because that is a big mess. And again, I didn't say that some of the Sixers things were not egregious or were not feeling like egregious. I didn't say that. I said I don't feel like we've gotten there just yet. That being said, folks, I hope you enjoyed the dialogue today. I hope I brought you up to date on some NFL free agency. I hope I brought you up to date on some Sixers news. And I hope I just entertained you for a little bit this nice, sunny Monday afternoon. Beautiful day outside. It's in the 60s, maybe close to 70. It's going to be nice the rest of the week, too. So get out and enjoy it. Tonight in the NHL, you got Oilers, Sabres, Red Wings, Senators, Blackhawks, Avalanche, and Maple Leafs against the Hockey Club. In the NBA, Sixers again, the second half of that back-to-back. The Sixers are in Atlanta to play the Hawks, the Jazz and the Celtics, the Hornets and the Heat, Lakers and the Nets, the Wizards and the Raptors, Pacers, Bulls, Magic, Rockets, Suns, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Thunder, Mavs, Spurs, Blazers, Warriors, Knicks, Kings. Those are your games for the night, folks. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Everybody that chimed in on Facebook, I definitely appreciate you. Everybody else that was tuned in that did not want to acknowledge or have any comment, I appreciate you too. Also, remember, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, at SportsRap CEO. Facebook, SportsRap Podcast LLC is the group page over there. All right. You can also check out the webpage, sportsrapradio.com. Make sure definitely make sure you also get over to the YouTube channel, SportsRap TV. You know what to do there. The 3 things you know what to do. Subscribe. Thumbs up on the videos you like. That's 2. And the 3rd one, hit the bell so you will be notified when, that's 3 things. Y'all got it? 3 things. You'll be notified when new content is up. Also, make sure you download the mobile app, Heat 100 Radio Online, available on Google Play Store and iOS. And make sure in my bio that you check the link, the Citrus 3 link in my bio on Instagram and all of my socials. And make sure you are tuned in to Heat 100 Radio all day, 24/7. Talk to y'all next week, all week on social media. Be safe getting home. Take your time. Enjoy the nice weather. Peace.